Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Around South Jersey. My special guest tonight is the former sheriff of Cumberland County, Bob Austino. Bob, good to see you. How are you?
Good. How you been, Jim?
I've been doing well, thank you. Bob, tell everybody how many years you served as our sheriff.
Well, I did 15 years as sheriff, and I did 30 years with the Vineland Police Department.
You've got a little bit of law enforcement
A little
background
bit,
there,
yes.
Huh? That is fantastic. Well, you know, it's interesting and Bob and I both ran on the Democratic Party, and the ticket, I didn't run this last time, but Bob, of course, did every 3 years for the sheriff's position. And we were talking about it has become, Cumberland County has gone from a blue county, which it was very solidly blue when I was a freeholder and when you first got involved, to becoming a red county where of the 14 municipalities, only 3, Bridgeton, Fairfield, and Greenwich, are now Democrat. All the rest have gone Republican. A lot of that could be Trump. It could be other things. And there was some screw-ups in the Democratic Party, too. I got to be honest with you. Bob and I know that as well. That didn't help the party. And anyway, it has been, and I tell this story, Bob. You know Joe Spracio?
Yes.
Great guy. And he was on the freeholder board with me about 5 years ago. And he sat next to me. And at that time, ladies and gentlemen, there are 10 elected positions in Cumberland County. 7 county commissioners now that used to be freeholders, but now they're county commissioners. And there's the sheriff, there's the county clerk, and the surrogate. So they're the 10 positions. So 5 years ago, Joe Spracio was the only Republican out of 10. He was the only one. Now, 5 years later, Celeste Riley, who was the county clerk, is the only Democrat out of 10. So we talk about a flip, huh?
Yes.
It really was amazing. Yeah. And let me tell you, Bob, I know you're a great campaigner because you've walked with me when Joe Durrell and we were running and stuff like that. And you're certainly well known, but it's all about timing, isn't it?
Timing, and the Democrats just did not turn out this last time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Boy, and that's something, too, Bob and I were talking about on the air. The Democrats outnumber the Republican registered voters by about 8,000 people, but they don't usually come out and vote in what you call an off-year election. The time that the Democrats usually do vote would be this coming year, the presidential election, that seems to motivate them to come out. But I know the year I ran for Millville City Commission in 2021, I mean, I was banging on doors and everything else, and the turnout was not good for the Democrats at all. Millville went basically 4 Republicans and me, and I decided I did not want to serve again. I had business things going on. I just didn't want to have to get involved with it once again. But, Bob, I've served 35 and a half years between the city of Millville and the county of Cumberland, and you had 30 years as a Vineland police officer. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Burson High School.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So you must have known Bob Sharp. Was he there when you were there?
Yes, he was.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he's actually my wife's cousin.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I think the world of him.
Yeah, Bob's a good guy.
Oh, he really is. He was the principal at Bridgeton High School. And this is a funny story. I substituted at Bridgeton High School when I was 18 years old. Back then, you only needed 6 credits to sub, and at that time I had like 18, I guess. But it was Bob was wonderful. Doug Rainier was there. Bob Felmy was there. A lot of really nice educators that I dealt with as well. But this is a funny story, folks. I have no ability whatsoever. I can't pound a nail. So one of the classes that I had all day was shop class. And Bob, the shop class was way in the back, way back there. So I go back and I read the instructions on the topic for the day was a drill, power drill. So I'm reading it and I'm starting to talk to the kids, and they believed me at that point in time that I knew what I was doing. And then I took the drill and had it in my hand, and my head itched. So I took the drill, and I'm itching my head, and the kids are going like this. And luckily, Mr. Sharp said to me, well, Jim, we know when substitute teachers are in, we turn the power off. I said, well, that's good. At least I didn't get a hold of my head. But great guy, my God. And he just had a birthday not long ago.
Did he?
Yeah. He's a Facebook friend, and he and his wife Agnes, and really a good person. Well, and another thing, speaking of Kathy, I'll tell you what, you guys went to every single event, including we were just recently at the Violent Soup Kitchen,
Yeah.
which is, so it shows that you care about the community, you give to the community, and Kathy's always there at your side.
Yeah, we try and get to everything that we are aware of.
Yeah, which is really nice. That was a great event.
Yes, it
very
was. It was
impressed.
packed.
Yeah, it really was. And, all the money going to help feed the homeless or the people in Vineland and things like that. So it was really a nice event. They had the Don't Call Me Francis band there, which is very popular. And Mariggy's did a great job. In fact, after the hors d'oeuvres, we could have just left.
Oh,
because
yeah, the
my
hors
gosh,
d'oeuvres
were
filled you up there
Yeah,
so
they
good,
sure did. But Tommy Mariggy, they do a great job there. And it was a very nice event. So you had 30 years in Vineland Police Department.
Yes.
So after you graduated from Bridgeton High, what did you do? Go in the police?
I went to college for about a year and a half.
Okay, Cumberland?
Yes, Cumberland County. And then I got married and worked for the Violent Times Journal.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes,
Wow, that's neat.
yes.
Wow.
I was in the composing room where you put the paper together
Yeah.
before it goes to the press.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you know Jim Quaranta?
Oh, yeah, I knew Jimmy well.
Yeah, yeah. He went by Jim Lewis on the radio, and that's where I first met him. And Jimmy, a good guy.
Jimmy Q.
Yep, Jimmy Q is the man to see. He is unbelievable. Good person as well. And there's a lot of boy, it's something too. Speaking of the Daily Journal, it used to be like for Millville City Commission when I was a mayor or commissioner, we had 3 newspapers that covered us: Bridgeton
Yes.
Evening News, the Daily Journal, and the Atlantic City Press. And now there are no newspapers at any county freeholder meeting, county commissioner meetings now. City of Millville, City of Vineland. In fact, when the city of Millville, the mayor from the city of Millville just resigned, everybody I think found out about it on Facebook. And then Joe Smith did get hold of her and did a story a day after or so that she resigned. But that's thank God for Facebook, I guess.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's a good thing. I know the mayor of Millville that resigned, she was taking a lot of abuse on Facebook. And I said the one thing I was lucky in all the years I was there, Facebook wasn't really a big thing during the time from I got elected in '83 and I got elected again in Millville City Commission in '97. But Facebook has become a way to get even, to spread vicious gossip rumors and stuff like that. So that's
Well, politics is getting nasty these days.
yeah, that's true.
It's a different animal than it used to be.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of the people that support the other team are, doing stuff on Facebook, saying things that aren't necessarily true. But if it's there, hey, it must be true. That's the way that the Facebook thing works. We're talking with former Cumberland County Sheriff Bob Austino, who gave 15 years of his life to the county as our county sheriff. We'll be talking a little bit more about some of the good things that happened during that 15-year period of time right after these messages.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
In South Jersey, we do things our own way. We say things out loud, face things head on, and never back down. And that's how we fight cancer. With the most advanced diagnostics, leading-edge technology, and a team of doctors who know how to treat your cancer. And most importantly, we do it right here at the Frank and Edith Scarpa Cancer Center, Vineland, and the Leading Edge Cancer Center, Mullica Hill.
Are you just part of the crowd?
Do you feel isolated and alone?
Do you wish someone would see your gifts?
Would you like to be seen as an individual?
A person of value.
Full of life and purpose? Part of a family that cares?
Imagine living without pain. For over 35 years, Doctors Beebe and Doyle have helped thousands of people find relief from all types of pain. Millville Chiropractic Center has 4 doctors on staff specializing in hands-on or light-touch, drug-free pain relief methods. The examination, x-rays, therapies, and adjustments are all performed at one location. Schedule a consultation today. Enjoy life without pain and discomfort. Millville Chiropractic Center, the area's #1 pain relief center.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. My special guest this evening is the 15-year veteran, former sheriff of Cumberland County, and 30-year veteran of the Vineland Police Department. So, Bob, we had talked about you working at the Daily Journal. How many years were you there before you became a policeman?
Only 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
So, you were still young.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, how old were you when you became a Vineland police officer?
23.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that in those days you had to go. Well, they still do, I guess. Police academy and all that
Yes,
stuff,
yeah.
right? Did you ever think, is that what you thought you'd like to do, be a police officer?
I did. When I was in high school and going to college, I worked at the Bridgeton Hospital.
Okay.
And I used to see a lot of police coming in there and stuff in the emergency room, and it kind of caught my eye and got my interest.
That's good. Well, certainly, tell you what, and I know when you were still with the sheriff's department, you needed sheriff's officers. It's hard to find people that want to get into the police
Yeah,
department.
it's very
the sheriff's
tough.
department nowadays.
Law enforcement,
Yeah.
generally nationwide, is
Yeah.
hard to recruit right now.
Yeah, and understandably so. It's
Yeah.
been a tough situation. I am not a big proponent of people having guns. I was in Florida 20 years ago at Disney World, standing in line, and there was a family in front of me from Britain, Great Britain, and the woman said to me, she had 2 sons with her, she said, "Can you explain something to me?" I said, "What's that, ma'am?" She said, "My sons are 18 and 20, but they're not allowed to have a beer, but they go across the street to the gunning store if they were Americans and buy guns." I said, "Yeah, that's the way it is, and I understand those that hunt. That's understandable, but in fact, this was a funny story. I didn't realize how dumb it was on my part. We had a murder in Millville when I was the mayor on Mulberry Street, I think between 4th and 5th, and it was a young man in his maybe early 20s, and they went right in the house, shot and killed him. So one of the ministers was going to do a candlelight service in his honor at his house on the porch. Asked me if I would come and attend. I said, yes, I certainly would. So anyway, I got up on the porch, extended my condolences to the young man's mom and sister, and I said to the crowd, I said, I strongly believe that anyone possessing an illegal gun should do 3 to 5 years in prison. Well, I came off the porch, and one of the police officers from Millville came over to me and said, "Hey, Mayor, half the people you just said that to are packing right now." I said, "Oh, my God." He said, "No, I'm telling you the truth." And it was like, then I was at school, high school, and I was telling the story to the students, and one of the students in the back of the room raised his hand. He said, "Hey, Mayor, you live where I live, you want to have a gun." I said, "I understand what you're saying, but 2 wrongs don't make a right." But in fact, I remember one day Joe Durrell and I were coming back from the Olympic Day event at 5th and Broad out to the football stadium, and we passed this guy, and like 2 minutes later, the guy is holding up with a gun the chicken store at 2nd and Broad. It's like, oh my God, we were right next door. But the tough thing is, and I guess it's because everybody has their rights, but you're not allowed to stop and frisk anybody, right? No, that's not permissible. So you got to live with it. And unfortunately, if you look at other countries like England and Ireland and France and all that, very, very few murders because they don't have the gun thing like we have. And the NRA has a very, very strong hold on the Republican Party and on the, of course, former President Trump and that type thing. And again, if somebody's a hunter, God bless you, should have a gun to hunt. But do you need an Uzi? There are things that I just question why we have them, but it's America.
It's a gun culture.
It is. That's a good point, Bob. Yeah. So did you have a gun before you were a policeman?
Yes, I did.
Oh, geez, here you are. You're on their side.
Yes.
Well, I'm pleading to the wrong ears on this situation. But so tell me about your 30 years in Vineland, about your police and what you did and where you went from there.
Of course, you always start out on the roads as a patrolman, so I did that.
Right.
Ended up in Detective Bureau, then got promoted, was back on the road
Were you promoted to sergeant?
as a sergeant, yes. And then eventually went back to Detective Bureau as a sergeant. And then I got promoted to lieutenant, and you had to go back out to the
road,
shift.
yeah.
So that's where I retired from.
Okay, as a lieutenant.
Yes.
And who were your chiefs when you were there?
Chief, original chief was Ralph Master Giovanni. He was only there a short time. Then Joe Cassisi,
Right, yeah, I do
most of the
remember
time,
him.
and Mario
Yeah,
Bernetta.
yeah, nice guys. I do remember
Yes.
both of those guys. And
All good people.
yeah, wow. So when you retired, is that when you ran for sheriff?
No, actually, I retired and did a few jobs on the side. Ended up selling cars for a while to
Yeah?
Nissan.
Oh, Nissans are good cars,
Yes.
that's for sure.
And then Rich Cummines, one of the owners of Riggins Oil, a friend of mine, called me and said,
Oh.
come work for us.
Okay,
So the hours were a lot better. So,
yeah, they didn't have to work till 9
yeah,
o'clock.
so I did that. Then I ran for sheriff.
So, let's tell everybody who you ran against the first time for sheriff.
Well, Mike Bruza.
Mike's my buddy. We went to St. Mary's together, so we go way back, and really nice guy. It was 15 years ago that you. What year did you get elected sheriff? When you ran?
2008 election, I took
Okay.
office 2009.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's been 15 years, yeah, as you said, to do that, and it again, it's timing, folks. It's in politics, it is timing, and I was talking to Joe Kondo, and he ran the Republican campaign and did a great job, and we got talking, and he and I had a similarity. Joe won the county freeholder election in Camden County, which is almost unheard of. Camden County really was solid Republican, still is now. And Joe won in 1991, and in 1991 I lost the Cumberland County freeholder seat. I lost and he won because of Jim Florio, and everybody remembers the sales tax on toilet paper. So what happens is if you run into a situation like that, no matter what you did, it wasn't anything I did wrong, but people were mad at the Democratic Party and Jim Florio in particular, so the timing, and it is, Bob, it's timing. It's
Yes,
like we
it
talked
is.
about even with your situation. I mean, and you look now at the last several years, I didn't run with Joe Durella the year I should have ran in 2021. I ran for Millville City Commission. Technically, I won, but I lost, in my opinion. I didn't want to serve. But, I mean, when you look at the times that things happen, Joe was very popular. He lost. Darlene lost.
Yes.
Carol lost. Donna lost. I mean, you just go down the list of Democrats that were running. Johnny Capizzola got appointed by cousin George Castellini's seat, and he lost. And, I mean, yeah, you have to give credit to Republicans. They worked very hard. And as we talked about, even though they have an 8,000 plurality disadvantage, they still won. And I know on the freeholder level, I think the difference between the third person on the Republican ticket and Johnny Cap was about 2,100 to a couple thousand votes at least, which is quite a few votes, as well. And I honestly do not know the current sheriff. I hear he's a very nice man. I said, in all the years I was in government, I never met Mike Donato. And somebody said, you're lucky, because he worked for the prosecutor's department. So I said, okay, I'm glad. Someday I'll have to meet Mike, but I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. But you've had, Bob, the opportunity to serve, and I know you enjoyed serving and helping. And before we move on to your future plans, I wanted to talk about your undersheriffs. Tell us a little bit about the people you had as undersheriffs.
Yeah, I had two great undersheriffs. One was Vince Salazzo.
Oh, I like Vince.
I served with Vince in Vineland.
Okay.
And Vince was very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And Millville's ex-mayor, Mike Santiago, his mother.
Yeah.
And I knew Mike for years, too. We would work cases together and stuff.
That's good, yeah. And it's, they were both good guys. And, in fact, Santiago was the only other person in the city of Millville that won 2 terms. I won 3. Nobody's ever won 3, but Mike did win 2 terms. And then, of course, did he just? I guess he didn't run for the 3rd term.
Yeah,
right?
he didn't decide not to run.
Wes Zwayak says, thanks for your service, Sheriff. Every time I saw him, he would always say hi. And he's watching from South Florida. Boy, you got people all over. Now, see, if Wes was here, you'd had an extra vote.
I believe the weather's probably a lot better in South
I'm
Florida.
sure it is,
right
too.
here right now.
That's really nice. Carlene DaCosta Puglia.
Thank you, Charlene.
Yes, it is. It's nice. And Bill Puglia was probably her husband.
I worked with Bill at Riggins Oil.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, he was a driver there.
Oh, that's nice.
And I worked in the office.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is really good. Well, you got some friends out there for sure.
Yeah.
And when did you move to Millville?
About 3 years ago.
Okay. He's got a beautiful home in Millville next to one of my friends. And what got you to move?
Well, my wife was sick. She had cancer.
Oh, I'm so
and I was working full-time at the sheriff's office.
Right.
And cleaning and cooking. And I
were
told her it's
doing
just the
triple
2 of
duty.
us, and we got a big house here in Vineland.
Yeah.
I said, let's downsize.
I see.
So we shopped around for a house. We found a nice rancher.
Yeah.
That a lot easier for us, just the 2 of us and our 2 dogs. So we moved.
That's nice. And you got a pool in this house.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Which
we
is
do.
nice as well. So, at least you had the opportunity to live in. Well, this is interesting. You grew up in Bridgeton, right?
Yes.
Where at in Bridgeton?
Well, actually, I grew up in Rosenhain.
That's right. I do remember that.
And
Yes,
we went to Bridgeton. That was before Cumberland Regional
yes, exactly.
existed.
Yeah, that's true. Did you go to Deerfield Township School?
Yes, I did.
Now, see, I was a speech therapist there, but you didn't need me because you have good speech. Jimmy Patitucci I saw the other day, and he was one of my students. We're talking way, way back, but what a great kid, great guy. I tell you, you fit in with this as well. My cousin Joe Perufi was on one day with me and was talking about all the people in Buna, the Buna area that I liked, and Denny Carolla and Chevalalia and all these people and Piastizzi's and all. He goes, Jim, what do they all have in common? I said, they're all Italian, and I love them. And Rosenhain has a lot of Italian
Yes,
people
definitely.
as well. Did you ever know Bobby DiPolito?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Bob moved out of the area, but he went to Sacred Heart High School, and he has the Buno family is all his relatives in Rosenhain.
Oh, yeah, big farming family.
Yes, yeah, so I was talking to him the other day, and he's retired from education as guidance counselor. But we were talking about another great guy. This is a funny story. Bobby and I and Glenn Lilly, back in the early 70s, they had Channel 2 of Vineland, or 7, maybe it was Channel 7 of Vineland. It was the local channel like what we have here now, Channel 22. And the teleprompter ran it, so they asked me if I'd be interested in doing newscast each evening. So I talked to the guys at the radio station. I said, yeah, go ahead, Jim. So I was the newscaster, Bobby was the weather forecaster, and Glenn gave like different updates and things of what was going on in the community. And we just had a ball doing that. But it was in the car wash garage.
Oh, no
Remember
kidding.
Car wash, yeah, it was right near Sacred Heart. And that's where teleprompter had their offices up front. In the back was the car wash garage. I look up and there's the car wash stuff. It was pretty funny. And then teleprompter just said, hey, we can't make it. Do you want it? And so basically I said, yeah, I'll take it over. And they leased it to me. And then one thing led to another. It's 47 years now, Bob. You were a little boy when I started this thing. 47 years ago, we started doing the local channel. But it's interesting when you think about your life, 45 years of public service. And that's unbelievable, when you think about that. 30 years at the Vineland Police Department, 15 years at the County of Cumberland. And, I look back when I was a freeholder, George Castellini's dad, George Sr., was the county sheriff, and he was a character. I loved being with him. It was funny, in 1981, he was the only one who campaigned with me. So, because the other guys knew I couldn't win, because Harry Freitag was my opponent. But I didn't know that, so I would campaign with him. And then after him, was it the fellow from Laurel Lake, the Republican guy?
Yeah.
I should remember.
I can picture him. I can't remember his
I
name
can
right
too.
now.
I should remember. Dan LaFerriere. That was it, yeah. Dan took over, and he had one term.
One term,
And then, did Jimmy Forcinito beat him?
I think he did.
Well, the one thing I wanted to talk about was I served with Jimmy Forcinito on the Cumberland County Freeholder Board. He was a Republican and a real nice guy, very, very nice guy. And then I don't know if when he ran for sheriff, he flipped. I know he flipped. He became a Democrat. So I wasn't sure whether he was Republican and then became a Democrat once he was in office. That I'm not positive. But when you look back, you got Mike Perusa and you had Dan Lothario were the two Republican sheriffs that we had over the last 30 years or whatever. And when George and yourself and Jimmy Forcinito, right? So, yeah, that's, and you know, what did you find that was great satisfaction for you being the sheriff? Some of the things that you feel that were good that your group was able to accomplish?
It was fun evolving the sheriff's office. One of the things when I took over, there was no real policies and procedures. Still mentioned the jail and our policies that we had. So I got a grant and we're able to get accreditation, and it forced us to update all our policies and keep them modernized. You got to keep up on them, make sure that, you know, as times change, you don't lag behind, and make sure they're up to date and all. So it was really challenging there, and it was very interesting.
Now, actually, when George Castellini was there, I don't know, and oh, geez, Sandy Forsiski's dad was under sheriff. Joe, oh, geez, come on, Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
You know, anyway.
Cefalaglio
That wasn't.
was Forcinito's, one of Forcinito's under sheriff.
No, I'm sorry. This guy was not Forcinito's. He was George Castellini's under sheriff.
Oh, okay.
Joe.
Oh, yeah, little guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say was
Very nice guy. if I
very
forget
nice
his
guy.
name,
And
yeah.
Sandy Forsiski's his daughter, who I think the world of her. And anyway, Joe was in charge of the jail because at that time the sheriff's department had the jail. Besides, tell everybody what else what the sheriff's department has done in modern era. What your two major responsibilities are.
Two major responsibilities. The first is the courthouse, security there, and that takes up probably better than half your personnel.
Right.
And the other half is you have people on the road that serve them warrants. And of course, you got a 24/7 communications division that we got to keep manned there. So.
I see. Well, I'll tell you what. I know when I was mayor of Millville, you guys were very helpful in sending over patrols for us because we were bombarded with problems, and I know you helped other communities, and also you would help the townships too that only had state police, especially if there was an event going on. You'd see sheriff's officers out there. The Cumberland County Fairgrounds, you were always there to get your officers to help. I'll tell you what, I have to tell you, at times, even now with us, we go in to televise the meetings, the people you have there are wonderful. I couldn't ask for nicer, more courteous people, and men and women both. You've got some really, really good people, and that's a tribute to you and your staff of the people that you were able to hire. And I'm sure Mike Donato would say the same thing, that he's happy with the people.
One of the things we stressed was, you know, you're there to serve the public.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to treat them decent.
Yeah, and they, like when we would go with the equipment and everything else, they obviously had to check everything, but they were very nice, very helpful, and especially we go up to the courtrooms when the county realtors were still doing meetings in the courtrooms from time to time, and they still did. I think the beginning of the year, this year too, and so we would be there, and the sheriff's officers would be up at the courtrooms as well, and that's an important job because they've got to protect the judges for sure.
Yes.
And then the warrant division, you said about how many sheriff's officers were there, approximately?
I think we're allotted like 64 of them.
Okay. So about half were there and half out on the road.
Yes.
And then you had the dispatch the officer would stay there. So, you know, I was telling a young man that worked at Walgreen, he was thinking about law enforcement, and I suggested that he contact the sheriff's department because I said, first of all, that's a good job in the sense that, unless I'm wrong, it's usually Monday through Friday, like 8:30 to 4:30, with weekends off. And, you know, that, like when you're doing regular police work, as you did for 30 years, you're working shift work, you're working all these different times, you don't get holidays off and all that. So, I mean, and I know Sheriff Donato is looking for people, at least he was last I knew, because one of my people was saying that when they came into the courthouse, they were handing out information
Yes.
needing sheriff's officers. So if anyone is interested, contact Sheriff Mike Donato, and you certainly have an opportunity to make it a great career. It really can be. Bob, one of the things, and it seemed like it didn't happen too much with you, before you got there, the sheriff's office would lose a lot of police officers to the city municipal.
You still do.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't.
Because
they're
the pay
paying more.
scale, and it's a different type of work too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come to the sheriff's office to get the police academy under their belt and then can move on.
I see.
You know, you can't compete with the wages that the cities pay.
Yeah.
But again, it balances out because we have different work hours, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be.
You know, the
an
holidays
advantage.
you're
Yeah,
off and-
exactly. Yeah.
Unless something's going on or whatever.
Yeah. In fact, Junior Duffield is one of my very favorite police officers in Millville. I used to do ride-alongs with him. He came from the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
And many of them. I mean, it was just very fortunate. And we are lucky in Cumberland County. Mike Gamari's a great guy in Bridgeton.
Yes.
They have a lot of, and Vineland and Millville have, really good police officers. And, in Vineland, or in Millville, it's not, Ross Hoffman is now the chief. Jody Farabella was the chief. And I'll tell you what, to Mike Donato's credit, I actually thought Jody Farabella would be a really good candidate to run for this because he had great name recognition and stuff like that. But to the Republicans' credit, they knew that timing wise, and Mike Donato, like you said, is a nice man, and he was able to win. And congratulations!
I know
to Mike.
Jody wanted to run.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he had interest in it. And Jody Farabella was a really good police chief. I enjoyed his personality and the job he did. He just retired, I guess, about a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago maybe. And Ross Hoffman took over. I know Ross's family, again, good people. And getting people in, as you were saying, Sheriff, Bob, there was, it's hard for people to now want to go into law enforcement, because of all the disrespect and the fears.
All the negativity nowadays.
Exactly, yeah, it really is tough. We're talking with Bob Austino, the former Cumberland County Sheriff. When we come back, Bob's going to tell us what's in his future.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be back right after these messages.
Many people treat their health like a game. With the Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Our mental health services focus on the emotions and behaviors that affect your overall well-being and features psychiatric, counseling, and addiction services, including our exclusive Fresh Start program, designed to help combat the opioid epidemic in our communities, plus all the other specialties you expect from Complete Care. Level up your health with us. The Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
The most important decisions a family can make are usually made around the kitchen table. At DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, we believe pre-planning and the difficult decisions you face with the loss of a loved one should also be made around the comfort of a table, like a family. Our friendly, kind, and compassionate staff is committed to helping you get through this most difficult time. In your time of need, trust DeMarco Luisi Funeral Home, Vineland.
We're all looking for God. All the signs point to, there is really a God. We try to find Him in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places, and through all kinds of things. But there's only one way to find Him. That's by personal experience with Him. Come visit us this Sunday. We can introduce you to Him. New Life Church, Millville, New Jersey.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
In South Jersey, we do things our own way. We say things out loud, face things head on, and never back down. And that's how we fight cancer. With the most advanced diagnostics, leading-edge technology, and a team of doctors who know how to treat your cancer. And most importantly, we do it right here at the Frank and Edith Scarpa Cancer Center, Vineland, and the Leading Edge Cancer Center, Mullica Hill.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. My special guest is the former sheriff of Cumberland County, Bob Austino. And Bob, I know you have a lot of energy because you're out there cleaning the pool, chasing the dogs, doing everything, and all that stuff. So tell everybody what you've decided you'd like to do coming up soon.
Well, I was approached by the Democrat Party and asked if I'd be interested in running for county commissioner, so I agreed to do that. My petitions are in, and looks like they're going to be a primary, but I'm running this year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
At least with all of your experience in government, I'm sure you'd be a big help to the other commissioners. And it's interesting, Bob, as you talked about, and this goes back, I can tell you, in 1982, in 1981, I ran as a freeholder, and I lost. But Chuck Fisher told me right before the election, Jim, don't worry about it. After the election's over, John Rose, who was then a freeholder, was going to resign, and he was going to appoint me to John's position. I thought, hey, this is great. I can't lose. I still get appointed. But then I found out even the Democrats don't always tell the truth. What happened was it came 1982, and I understand the guy that was going to be running, he lived in Millville. At that time, I lived in Dorchester, but I was known in Millville. He wanted Mark Pageant, who was from Bridgeton, to balance it out. So there was reasoning for them not wanting me. And I said, you know what? This is baloney. I'm running. So what I did, and John Nardelli saved me. He was the county clerk at the time because, as we were going to talk about a little bit, it's the line. The line is the key, the Democratic line, the Republican line. The party is the one who determines who, the party has a steering committee. Steering committee makes a recommendation to the whole committee, and then usually the committee follows the steering committee's recommendation, and that's the people that get the line. Well, that year, John Nardelli said, Jim, I'm not going to shaft you. I'm going to put all three on the same line. So I worked really hard. I called every Democrat that voted in primaries, and I said to them, I'd like one of your two votes. I didn't badmouth the other guys or anything like that. But during that period of time, I had almost no support except for Bill Biondi, Nikki Jerome, and Joe DeMarco, the Vineland. Those three from Vineland and Bob McCarson from Millville. They supported me, and I worked hard. And as I said, and I called everybody, and I won by 300 votes. So I was proud of me to do. I fought the party and I won. Then all of a sudden they love me again. So it's how it works.
The world
out.
of politics.
Exactly, it is. Yeah, you're right. And I mean, we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and that type of situation. But I'm really happy for you, and I know how much you want to keep busy because you've been working all your life. You don't play golf, right?
No, I don't.
See, I don't either.
No.
And I tell everybody.
I did years ago, but
I gave up on it. I tell everybody I'm never going to retire. I'm just going to drop dead right here and
that's
have
it.
This funeral director come in and get me. Maybe I'll get Skip to get me now. But and that's another good point too, Bob. You love helping people. And I do too, and it was wonderful for me for my 35 and a half years that I put in an elected office to be able to help people. It really was, and that was something that made me feel good and gave me satisfaction. And again, not having a hobby, I enjoyed that. That was my thing to do. Thank God for this. It was funny, when I lost in 1991, I lost, and the newspaper reporter came to me, and he said, Jim, that's devastating news for you. And I said, yeah, but you know what? I said, they didn't vote me out of doing Millville High School football, of running the local TV channel, and there are things I still enjoy doing, we still do. So I'm lucky that I love what I do here as well. So that's, and you've been lucky. I mean, you've been able to do things you've loved for 35 or 45 years, actually, right?
Yes.
And even with Riggins, you had 2 or 3 years there.
Oh, yeah.
So you had a really great career that you've enjoyed over that period of time. So it would be. So, again, let's talk about the line, Bob. Somebody just in the state of New Jersey, the judges now have overruled the party being able to determine who goes on the line. I think
That's it. The party chairman, the county party
Right,
chairman,
yeah.
cannot appoint the line now.
Yes. So what will happen is, maybe they'll just, like in Millville, when we weren't running as a party, except the last time I ran in Millville. All the other times, we just run as individuals, and the city clerk there would have a bag, and you just pull out a number, and that's where you were on the ballot.
Yes.
I suspect Celeste Riley will have to do the same.
I would imagine.
At least there's 4 or 5, right? Like 5 maybe that want to run for county commissioner.
4 on the Democrat side.
Okay, so there's 4 there. I would imagine. Well, actually, the Republicans not aware they have the 2 incumbents, so there's nobody that's going to run against them. So it's those that don't have incumbents, which the Democrats don't. And I remember it was comical when I ran in 1981. There were 6 Democrats on the freeholder board. Harry Freitag, who was Undertaker, great guy, very popular, was the lone Republican. So some of the ads the Republicans would run would say no to 7-0. Well, the Democrats can now run that. They can say no to 7-0, because it is 7 Republicans, and like I said, even the county sheriff now, Mike Donato, and county surrogate Skip Luisi, who I enjoy his personality very much, and Celeste Riley is the only Democrat that is left out of the 10 positions. Yeah. So it's been a big flop, a big swing. And, when you look at it, it's the red wave. I mean, in 2021, when I finished 4th out of the 10 of us that were running, and my running mates finished 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we didn't do well. And, again, it was timing. And, in Millville's form of government is really different, that's for sure. And I want to extend my best wishes to Lisa Orndorff, the former mayor of Millville, first woman mayor of Millville, who just decided she was not going to keep doing it. And I know some of her reasonings, and I understand them. And even, I was saying to somebody recently, Bob, I've never been a smoker or a drinker, but the way I would calm myself down is I'd feed my fat face. Yeah. So this is a true story, I won't mention the guy's name, but there was a person who was a judge, retired judge, got up at a city commission meeting, was speaking and speaking and speaking. We have a 5-minute rule. So this person got to 10 minutes. And I finally said, Judge, you're going to have to sit down now. And he pointed at me and he said, I'm not going to sit down. The only way I'm sitting down is you're going to have the chief, Ron Harvey was the chief, sitting next to him, physically throw me out of here. I'm going, okay, what do you do? So I get home that night, I start shoving tasty cakes in my mouth because I'm stressed. It's like, but that happens. And I mean, those things do occur. And sometimes, you get people, just are not real friendly, I guess is the best way to say it. But I'll never forget that. It was like, oh, you got to throw me out of here physically.
I can probably predict who the judge was, but
I'm sure you can. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And it's one of those situations where, those things happen. And, it's, again, and it is tough because, to her credit and what she had to go through, Millville has a lot of naysayers, people that are not happy, who come out and just sit and complain, all the time about anything they can find to complain about. And that becomes their life. That's what they look forward to. They want to come out. I mean, in Cumberland County, Ridgeway, Nancy Ridgeway, she's not belligerent. She comes out. She's interested in government. She goes to all the committee meetings and all that stuff. And that's her thing that she loves to do.
There's wrong with that, as long as they don't become personal.
Exactly. Yes, that's true. And she
because everybody's serving is there with the good intent.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. And that's a good point because I've served with many Republicans on the freeholder board, and every one of them. I mean, got Frank Lobiondo, Clara Miller, Jimmy Forcinito, Joe Spracio. What a super guy. They were really good people, and we were all there for the same reason, to make Cumberland County a better place, for people. And I don't know, Bob, I think I was probably there when I did you a favor. You didn't know it. We actually, folks, during the period of time when George Castellini was the mayor, Joe Zagari is the guy, Joe Zagari.
Joe Zagari, yes.
His undersheriff, Joe Zagari, ran the jail. So the sheriff's department was in charge of the jail, and I think maybe even while Dan LaFerriere was the sheriff. It may have still carried over. But eventually, I'm pretty sure I was on the board when we decided to go and hire a warden rather than have to have the undersheriff oversee the jail. And boy, I tell you what, that's a difficult place to be. It's very tough, really, when you look at it. And in fact, many of the lawsuits we have in the county of Cumberland have now came from the jail. For whatever it is, there's always something there that happens, and that was one of the highest things that we had. I'll tell you what, George Castellini and I were on, and one of the things, and to the county credit now, Jimmy Sorrows tell me they're doing a partnership with Salem County. We were looking, like Gloucester County decided to outsource their jail to Salem County, and they saved millions and millions of dollars. They really did. And Cumberland County was spending $32 million a year to run the jail, and if we outsourced the jail, we were looking at Atlantic County at the time, we would have paid $20 million. So we would have saved the taxpayers $12 million. And that's important when you're looking at budgets and stuff. But it's that didn't go. But I'm really excited from what Jimmy tells me. They're working with Salem County maybe to do an addition or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah, I think they're going to build over there.
Yeah, and that would be great. And that really would work out well. Ben Laurie is the commission director for Salem County. Very nice man. Ben has Ben's ProServe, and Laurie Heating is his brother's business, and again, a good person. And that's something too, Bob, that we need to do more of in government in general is shared services when we can, so that it saves both parties benefit from it.
I remember under Chris Christie, that was a big push, and it's kind of like died out.
Yeah, that's true. Because even the Cumberland County had a juvenile detention center, and during the early years I was a freeholder, we outsourced that and saved, I know, at least $1 or $2 million. And the good news is, I've talked to the prosecutor, we're down to less than a dozen juveniles that are in the detention center. So, and that's a good thing for the kids, for the police, however they're handling it. That's
it's very hard to get a juvenile committed these days.
Yeah, and I think that certainly works out well, for the county, for the cost factor that you have to deal with and things like that. But government is expensive, and
yes, it is.
It's interesting. I had the superintendent of schools for the city of Millville on, and he was showing the increases. And it was interesting in Millville. Basically, we always said your taxes. You have three people taking your property taxes: the city, the county, and the school board. Well, Cumberland County, especially Vaughn, Millville, and Bridgeton, is very, very fortunate because they were designated an Abbott district. So the monies that come in from the local taxes is like, we'll say maybe, I don't know, 12 million or something. But the bulk of the money is 80-some million comes from the state.
Yes.
And I'm sure Vaughn and Bridgeton have the same thing. If not, Bob, could you imagine what the taxes would be?
You wouldn't be able to afford your house.
You're right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's what's really tough to see. And I looked at his chart, and to the county's credit, they had a very small increase. The city of Millville had a very small increase, and the school board is still the lowest of the three. He took a house that's valued at $225,000 and showed a chart across there for those three. So, the school board was a little bit lowest. It was the lowest of the three. They were like 28% or something. But, that's when you think of your property taxes, they go a third approximately into, the different governments, county government. One thing, Bob, that I've often thought, I don't think you'll ever see it, but the counties or the states that do well are states that have county governments, just county governments running, I think Ohio does. There's several that, Delaware, I don't know what they do in Delaware, but they do phenomenal. Do you ever remember Bob Smith, the teacher that was freeholder?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, this is a good story on taxes. Bob Smith and his wife Andy were teachers. He moved from Vineland to Townsend, Townsend, Delaware. Yeah. So he went down, and at settlement, they said taxes were $250 or whatever. He goes, "Is that a month?" They said, "Oh, you must be from New Jersey." "No, that's the whole year." So he said, "Wow, and we do pay all my buildings. I pay an awful lot of property taxes. I'll tell you that." But it's the way it is. Actually, in the state of New Jersey, it's very high. If you look at it. Where it's not high is the Barrier Islands. I had a home in Sea Isle, that was worth about $1 million. My taxes there were like $6,000. My home in Millville that was assessed at $250, the taxes were $12,000. But Sea Isle has ratables coming out the rears, as does Ocean City.
Yes.
Ocean City has more ratables than the entire county of Cumberland. You know,
Keeps the local tax rate down.
It really does, very, very low, and that's of course nowadays you can't buy anything in Sea Isle for less than $1 million.
Yeah,
So
really.
Lenny Desiderio is my buddy, and
Any place in the shore.
it's the truth. Oh, you know what, Bob? I know you've been down there and you've helped when they've had events, but down township, especially Fortescue, the property values are going up. Tell everybody why.
Probably talking about that new storage system.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, somebody told me they sold a house that was worth $250 for $500,000.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and I've had Sybil, who has Hotel Charlesworth, on, and we've talked about, his place will really boom in value, and that's what's important. And Cumberland County, and to Doug Albert's credits, he's always talked about trying to extend Cumberland County Utility Authority. But the cost to get it all the way down to Fortescue was cheaper for Fortescue to put in their own system for Fortescue and Gandy's Beach than it was to try to run it all the way down to, And of course, they're spread out, so you don't have the density that we have. And Vine and LSA does a good job. Millville has their own sewer department. They do a good job. And Bridgeton is part of the Cumberland County Utility Authority.
Well, I know Doug Vernier had a fire. He had a property down in Fortescue.
That's right, he did.
And he couldn't rebuild because of the storage problems
That's a
down
good
there.
point. Yes. And I'm sure he sold that property, the bought, for quite a good amount of money, which is, but yeah, that was a very good point.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's a.
It was killing the Bay Shore area.
Yeah, Tory Lodes was on the other night with Mayor Rothman, and he was talking about those exact things.
Yeah.
You just weren't allowed to put in, septic systems because they were failing, and you're right on the bay. You don't want to put sludge in the bay, so
And there's no place to put the sewer beds and stuff.
Yes,
so.
exactly. Yeah, it's and it's not cheap to put this in, but the county, I know when I was there, and I think this group's doing the same thing, is doing a guarantee on the bonds, but it's needed. It'll benefit the county because the tax ratables down there will jump up quite a bit as well, and all the property values will increase tremendously. And boy, Jimmy Sorrow said the other day, and I've said this myself in the past, we are lucky in Cumberland County. That's the other Jersey Shore.
Yes.
The Bay. I mean, you got beautiful places, Fairton, Greenwich, all over the place. You've got all the beautiful bay sites. People love seeing water.
Yes, they do.
And that down township has that. Port Norris, commercial township. We're lucky, in this situation in Morris River Township. We are on the Delaware Bay.
Yes.
Boy, it's interesting. When we were kids, I guess, the oyster industry was really thriving.
Yes,
in
it
Port
was.
Morris, and Mayor Rothman said the other night about that, still doing pretty well, and they're trying to, get the.
Yeah, I think it's coming back now.
Yeah, dredging, I guess the federal government helps to do that and everything. So you got your walking shoes on, huh?
Yes, I do.
I'll tell you, this man
Ready for a long summer.
He walked with me and Joe Durella many years ago, and thank you for that. And people liked you in Vineland. Everybody really did like you a lot. And and again, I knew when I lost in 1991, it wasn't because people didn't like me. They just didn't like the Democratic Party at that time because of Jim Florio. So it's timing. It really is.
Yes.
It's all about.
In politics, it goes
is.
back and forth.
Yes,
the wind
it does.
blows.
Yeah, it does. And as I say, congratulations to the Republican Party. They've done very well. And Joe Orndorff and I talked about it. He ran their campaign for them the last several years, and and they defeated good people. I mean, Bob had 15 years sheriff, 30 years in law enforcement. You look at the county commissioners that were there. Darlene Barber, very popular director. Joe Durella, again, very popular, was my vice mayor of Millville, county director for the county commissioners. And Carol Musso and Donna Pearson, they were smart. They didn't run.
People are all dedicated to the county.
Yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
Bob. And that's a
Public
very good
service.
point. Yep. And I tell you, honestly, everybody, whether Republican or Democrat, that I ever worked with, were dedicated to the county,
Yes.
to do the public service and make things better for the people
Yes.
of Cumberland County. So, that's a good thing. It really is. And I know this group is trying and doing what they're doing on the county commission level. But, that old slogan that they ran when it was 6-1, and I was the one, trying to unseat the Republican, say no to 7-0. So the people did say no to me. Quinn, you're out. and again, Harry Freitag was a very, very popular
Yes, he
person,
was.
very, very nice man. And you know what? When you think about it, Skip Luisi being a funeral director, and of course Harry Freitag, they touch a lot of people's lives.
Yes.
So they're very popular. So
Yes.
it's sometimes tough, like with Harry.
Well known.
Harry never lost.
Yeah.
He never lost. I think then he went to the surrogates department later on, but he never ever lost. And I can't say that. The 81 I lost, 91 I lost, 2021 I technically won, but I lost in my opinion. So the ones were not good for me. So 2031 I'm not going to be running for anything. Nor, in fact, a friend of mine just recently messaged me. He said somebody was bad mouthing me or whatever. I said, they can do all the bad mouthing they want. I'm not running for anything. So you say what you want to say. But Bob, I certainly appreciate you coming in. Please tell Kathy I said hello, and she's always with you. God bless her.
Yes.
She's your right-hand person. And,
Kids are grown, so
well, that's nice.
it's our chance to be together.
Yeah, and you go to all the events.
Yeah.
And you always did, no matter what. Every single event to honor people, Kathy and Bob were there. You were doing that. So thank you so much. And,
My pleasure, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the campaign coming up.
Okay.
You just love these campaigns.
Yes.
My special guest has been the former Sheriff Bob Austino. I want to thank Ryan Narowski for producing the show tonight. And I want to thank you for joining us here on Around South Jersey. We'll see you real soon. Have a nice night. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.